Have you ever met Alexander Ionov?
He organized the international conferences, so
Okay.
I did know who he was.
And was he an American Russian or just Russian?
I'm not an expert on him. To my understanding is he's just a Russian.
Just a Russian.
Yeah,
Okay.
he's an actual Russian citizen.
And so he came over to America and...
No, he never came to America.
Oh, he did these in Russia.
Yes.
Oh, okay. And invited, California?
Yes, and Texas and Hawaii and multiple other American states and groups.
And when that happens and you didn't go there, was it like a teleconference?
It was the first one was a physical conference.
So did you go to Russia?
I did not.
Oh, you did.
And I've never been to Russia, and I don't
Lewis
speak Russian.
did.
Lewis went to Russia.
So he was representing Yes California,
Yes.
and he went to Russia
Yes.
with Ionov.
He met Ionov there.
He met Ionov there.
Yeah, and he went there.
Now, when Lewis did that, was that illegal in any way?
No.
No.
Because Lewis, and this was another thing where the media lied. So Lewis signed up for a 6-month teaching gig so he could teach English, and that would give him the money to be in Russia so that he could attend the conference. So Texas Nationalists said, go to the conference. If you get into the conference, you can get international media. If you get international media, you can get domestic media, etc., which I just explained that worked out exactly. So the way that we did it was he had been teaching English in Russia, and his wife, he had just married her. The American government did not allow her mom to come visit her on her wedding day. And everybody said we're liars. Of course they would, but they didn't. So Anna was distraught. Lewis had to go back to Russia to introduce Anna to her mom after she got married. Secondly, we wanted Lewis to go to the conference. One way that we could afford to get him there was that he would take a 6-month teaching job, which is the normal term for teaching English. And since he knew Russian and been there before, it was an easy thing for him to get the job. While he was there, September, October, we're at the conference, everything's great. Everything's wonderful. And then Trump gets elected, which we didn't know. And then it's Russia rigged the election, which nobody had ever heard of a foreign government other than America jumping into another country's election and rigging it electronically. So, those were brand new things. And when that happened, it shocked us. And of course, it looked horrible to have the official head of the movement in Russia while it's coming out that Russia's interfering in this election. But we were pointing out to people, we went before Trump won. We went before it was announced that there was election tampering. Nobody knew there was election tampering before that happened. And frankly, folks, we emailed 400 of you. You all knew we went to Russia, and you said nothing in September, October 2017. 3 months later, it was a big deal for you to say something. But if we go back to the articles that you all wrote in September, October 2017, you aren't that critical.
Right.
Why did you suddenly change your tone?
So Ionov setting up these things in Russia, inviting Yes California and Lewis to attend the conference. That's not an illegal thing in and of itself that America needs to do anything about. It's just a Russian agency doing something over there in Russia.
Yeah, so you can't arrest Americans for traveling abroad.
Right.
And you can't arrest Americans for going to conferences abroad.
Have you ever taken any money from Ionov?
Me? No. And neither has the movement.
And has Lewis?
I can't speak on Lewis.
So it's possible.
So I can't speak on an ongoing investigation. I can't talk about this. So I'm only giving you information that I've already given and said like 50,000 times, so I'm not really giving anything new.
Gotcha.
And I'm giving you information that's already publicly available. So the indictment, if you go read the indictment, does not say the group took the money, doesn't name anybody else. It says a person who other media have identified as Lewis possibly did this. Now, in the news also, not that I have privileged information, but in the news is reporting that they read an essay by Lewis where he's denying all the charges. So I have to say possible. Now, that's key because the indictment can't say the movement received money and direction because we were already cleared by 4 investigations. And the indictment can't list anybody else because we were cleared by 4 investigations. So now that they can't get anybody of the members and they can't get the org, they got to go after the one last guy who's still in Russia. And
what can they really do to him, though? Because
they're claiming, as I understand, they're claiming that in the indictment, again, not privileged information. This is in the indictment. This is covered by the news. This is nothing. This is already out there. This is me commenting on stuff that's already widely available information, not giving privileged information. This is already out there. The indictment says that Ionov was directly working for the FSB, basically the CIA of Russia. So he was consciously working with them with the stated goal of bringing down America. So Ionov is not just a nonprofit director who likes to have conferences and is independent of the Russian government. The indictment claims that he is secretly an actual Russian agent. So he walks around acting like I run a nonprofit like the Red Cross, and yeah, we have conferences, and yeah, it's beneficial to Russia, but I'm not tied to Russia. The indictment saying, well, actually, you lied, and you are, and you were getting directions from the FSB, and you were getting directions from the FSB with the conscious philosophy of I'm doing this to bring down the US of A.
And Lewis had no idea about this whole...
Well, hold on.
Well, let's say if that's true.
I got to finish the second sentence.
Sorry, go ahead.
The second half of that is that Ionov informed Lewis of this, or Lewis somehow came to be informed of this, and Lewis continued to work with Ionov. So the claim against what the media has said is Lewis, not me, what the media said is Lewis, is that Lewis knew Ionov was taking orders from the FSB. Lewis knew Ionov was motivated by the concept of destroying America, and Lewis was conscious of all of that and totally okay with it, and then took money and directions. That's what they're claiming, and I think the crime, and they're also not even indicting him. He's an unindicted co-conspirator, so they may not be able to prosecute him for anything. I don't know. I'm just saying the indictment's against Ionov. It's not against him, but the bad thing in that indictment appears to be that people were aware that they were getting directions from the FSB, and they were aware that the reason that they were doing this was consciously to bring down the U.S. Whereas what we had always said was, we just wanted to go to a conference and get attention. We don't care what you were talking about. And no, we never wanted to bring down the US of A. I've been asked many times, and we always said, frankly, we don't think America can be brought down.
Had you known that Ionov was doing that for that reason, if he was, this is all, accusations at this point. I don't know how deep it goes, but let's say he was, obviously you wouldn't have went. Is that what you're saying?
If we had known that Russia was going to interfere in an election, we would not have gone. If we were going to know that people were going to say and believe, although it came out not true, that Russia rigged the election so Trump could be president, we would not have gone. If we had known that this claimed nonprofit that we were referred to by other Americans who had gone and aren't mentioned in the news was actually a front for the FSB with the bent of world destruction of America, no, we wouldn't have gone. So if I had known all those things, hell no.
Okay.
But I want to...